Good morning, Oh God, I just did like a millennial pause. That's so embarrassing. Good morning. Good afternoon for me. It's actually afternoon. It's like 2 o'clock, and I'm acting like it's morning. Whatever it is for you, thanks for coming back to watch another episode of Minecraft Philosophy. This is episode 2, so we're still getting our boots on the ground, and we are figuring out what works best. So this week I don't know. I'm saying we, that there's a whole crew or something. I'm going the route of having pre-recorded gameplay and then trying to talk over it. So there'll be some more consistent stream of thoughts, and it's gonna kind of take away some of the. Oh my God, what is this word? I keep forgetting this damn word. This is the third time I've recorded it, and every single time I've forgotten it. Not accessibility, authenticity. Period. It's going to take away some of the authenticity. I kind of like playing it a little bit more, but I know that it's not, really coherent streams of consciousness. So we're going to try this way and see how it goes. So, unusual, because half of these videos now haven't started like this, but there's only been 2. So we're going to start with 2 thought experiments. And I'd love, if you're watching it, if you come upon this, I'd love for you to give your answers in the comments below. Whatever you'd like. So, you enter your Minecraft world. You're in a forest, and in front of you, you see 2 people. Okay? First person, Alex, say. Alex is saying, I know that you really want to go build a boat. We need to go to the beach. I've been to the beach. I've taken the route 100 times. I can get you there. If you were to follow Alex, you'd get there. You'd get there in 10 minutes, let's say. Now there's another person, Herobrine. Herobrine is saying, I've never been, but I can try to get you there. If you follow Herobrine, you are going to get to the beach in 10 minutes. By sheer right opinion and coincidence, he is going to make, regardless of the fact that he has never been to this beach before, he is going to make all of the right turns at all the right degrees, at all the right speeds, and he is going to have the right opinion of how to get there. Now, as a society, we usually hold knowledge to a higher standard. But in this case, both tour guides are going to get you to the exact same spot in the exact same amount of time. So which one would you choose? Thought experiment number 2. You pause, think about that one for a little bit. Coco, let's say, because that's me and I just know my name. I park in garage. We're going to go with the Minecraft example. That's a little bit more fun. I have programmed this redstone lamp. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I keep getting all these messages. We're going to go with garage example, okay? We're not going to go with the magic 8 ball. We're not going to go with the redstone. We're going to go with the garage example because it's easier to understand. And I want y'all to understand it rather than staying in the cliche, the niche of Minecraft themed things, okay? I want to go in the example that I was taught because it's easy to understand. Okay. I go to a university and there is garage A, there's garage H, okay? You, I'll do you. It's not about me, it's about you. You go to a university, Minecraft university, there, it's Minecraft themed, where there's a garage A and then through garage H, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. You have a method of remembering where you park your car every single day. You park it in a garage, and then on a sticky note, you write which garage. And this system over the past 3 years that you've gone to this university has never failed you once. That's very, very important. It's never failed you once. Today, you park in garage H. So you write on your sticky note H. You go to your class. Maybe you work there as well. You do student affairs or something. Student advising. Sit at your desk and you put garage H sticky note on your table. Coworker A, I'll do coworker 1, because we have the letter named garages. Coworker 1 decides to play a trick on you today. And they take your sticky note and switch it with a sticky note that says Garage B. So you've parked in Garage H, but now your sticky note says Garage B. By sheer coincidence, your other coworker 2, has stolen your keys and moved your car to Garage B. Do you know that your car is in Garage B based off of your sticky note system, which you have ample experience or ample evidence that is true? Those are two very famous styles of thought experiments to try and prove the requirements of knowledge, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And the way that I was taught to kind of dissect what the requirements of knowledge, because, you might be sitting there and, well, I know things because I know them. How do you know them? Well, I know things because I know that I know them. You end in this cyclical experience of just saying that you know things because you know them. And that's not what epistemologists are really after. They're trying to figure out what requirements as humans are we going to have that says somebody knows something, okay? And not even just somebody knows something, but what do we value in, because in that first example, are we valuing knowledge over correct opinion, even though it's getting us to the same exact spot? So what do we value as humans in knowledge, and what makes up that knowledge? So the first thing that we're going to kind of introduce is the two kinds of reasons. And these are a little bit complicated. I was a little bit confused when I had been learning them over several courses, just because, certain learning things I've got. So if these examples that I'm bringing to the table aren't sufficiently helping you understand them, I highly encourage that you go either look at more YouTube videos, or go look at papers or AI generated examples, anything that can maybe make you understand the difference between sufficient and necessary. But I hope that these ones kind of break it down to its simplest form. These are the ones that my professor gave me, and he's a great professor, so hopefully this will help you as well. So sufficient versus necessary reasons, conditions, whatever you want to call it. We're going to start with sufficient. So sufficient in basics is a guarantee. So being a mammal is a sufficient condition for being an animal. So if you are a mammal, it is guaranteed that you are a kind of animal. So if you want to go into Minecraft, if you are a sheep in Minecraft, it is a sufficient condition that you are a Minecraft animal. Or, if you are a crafting table, it is a sufficient, being a crafting table is a sufficient condition for being a block. So it is a guarantee. All you need, if you're a crafting table, just your own essence, you're a block. It's enough to guarantee that you are this other category. Necessary conditions, on the other hand, are requirements. So being a U.S. citizen is a necessary condition for being a president. Now, as we've seen in our long history of American politics and elections, being a U.S. citizen is not enough, because if you say, you can't have the case of being a U.S. citizen as a necessary condition for a president, and if you're misinterpreting that necessary, then I'm a president. Everyone who is a citizen is a president. So necessary conditions are just requirements. They are like the rubric on your homework assignment. It's not enough by itself to guarantee that you are now this role. However, if you put enough necessary conditions together, you might have one big sufficient. So for the U.S. citizen example, if you are a U.S. citizen, you're of age, you're birthright, you got enough electoral votes, you survived long enough to finish your inauguration. The inauguration went well, and you are sworn in as president, and your duties have begun. All of those those requirements, necessary conditions, are now enough to add up to be one sufficient the guarantee condition of you are the United States president. So that's kind of what epistemology is after. What are all of the necessary conditions, the requirements for saying that you know something? So in the Meno by Plato, which this kind of dates back to, it's a really interesting text where Socrates and Meno are debating about if virtue can be taught or not, what is virtue. And I'm going to read a little bit of it from it to kind of, examples. And Larissa, in this case, that was our beach example. So in the Meno, Socrates is saying that if someone knows how to get to Larissa because they've gone versus someone who makes all the correct opinions, who are you choosing? Socrates goes, I will tell you, a man who knew the way to Larissa, or anywhere else you like, and went there and directed others would surely lead them well and correctly. Meno says, certainly. Socrates goes, what if someone had a correct opinion as to which was the way, but had not gone there, nor indeed had knowledge of it? Would he not at least be correct? Meno goes, certainly. Socrates says, and as long as he has the right opinion about that of which the other has knowledge, he will not be a worse guide than the one who knows, as he is a true opinion, though not knowledge. Meno goes, in no way worse. Socrates goes, so true opinion is in no way a worse guide for correct action than knowledge. It is this we omitted in our investigation of the nature of virtue, when we said that only knowledge can guide correct action, for true opinion can do so also. Meno goes, so it seems. And Socrates ends with this little section saying, so correct opinion is no less useful than knowledge. And it's this really beautiful piece of historical text because we are reading, I'm saying watching because watching is more cool, cinematic, I suppose. We're watching Socrates break down a thought that he previously had, that knowledge was what could lead you to all the right answers in life. But if someone has that correct opinion, then knowledge is kind of useless. I don't care if I am trying to get from point A to point B, I don't care if you know it or if you have the right opinions. I'm going with flip of a coin, whoever I randomly choose, because both of them are going to get me there. So knowledge is now in no way important. So then, he's like, okay, so if, in his head, he had these two sufficient, or necessary, my apologies, these two necessary conditions for knowledge. One, that you have a true belief. So, a lot of people said that they knew the earth was flat. We're going to go with a Minecraft example. I can't say the earth is flat. You can say that Herobrine is real, and if you call someone at 3 a.m., if you call Herobrine at 3 a.m., he's going to pick up and curse your family. A lot of people said they knew that, but it's not true. So, necessary condition number one is that you are holding a true belief. Necessary condition number two is that you believe that belief, you believe in it, essentially. Because I can't know something if I at least inherently don't believe it. Because if I hear that the earth is flat and I start going around saying the earth is flat, I don't know that the earth is flat because I don't believe it. I can't even know something I don't believe. So up until right now, those are kind of the two, he obviously wasn't sitting there saying, necessary condition, but those are kind of the schemas of what is knowledge. And we're seeing in real time him break it down. So then in a later part of the Meno, he talks about that they have wrongfully forgotten about these statues in ancient Greece. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but I'll put, some pictures, whatever, I'll put some, on the screen. But it was these statues that were made by a Greek god, and they were runaway statues. So, when you weren't watching them, they would run away in the middle of the night. So what the people did was, you had to tie them down. You had to tie down the statues because a statue wasn't valuable if you didn't have it. So only the tied down statues were valuable. And Socrates is saying that we have forgotten our experience with these statues, and we haven't considered that idea of that something is valuable only if you tie it down. So he's saying knowledge can be tied down. And that's why it's valuable to us. Because yes, both tour guides are getting us to the beach or to Larissa, but the one that knows is valuable, or claims to know is valuable, because they are tied down in that experience. They're tied down in that justified belief. So then we kind of get, okay, this seems to be, this all seems to be fine and dandy, but we're not really having any formal breakdown. We're kind of just saying a lot of stuff, but we don't have anything to say, okay, necessary condition 1, necessary condition 2, necessary condition 3. Like, this is like, we're spelling it all out, but we're not really writing it down. So then comes, pause. Garage example is kind of where, having the reason, because, oh, no, let me shut up. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not going to do that. So pause, unpause. We're saying a lot of things, but we're not tying down our beliefs. We're not really listening to Socrates that much, we're not tying down our beliefs. So A.J. Ayer comes along, and he writes this paper, Knowledge as the Right to be Sure. And he kind of goes through some quotes, for it is possible to be completely sure of something, which is in fact true, but yet not to know it. For instance, a superstitious person who had inadvertently walked under a ladder might be convinced as a result that he was about to suffer some misfortune, and he might in fact be right, but it would not be correct to say that he knew that this was going to be so. So just because someone is right, just because their belief is right, that's not enough to guarantee. That's a necessary condition, but it's not enough to be sufficient for how does someone know something. Then, he goes on to say, if I were asked how I knew that a physical object of a certain sort was in such and such a place, it would, in general, be a sufficient answer for me to say that I could see it. But if my eyesight, so right now he's saying that most people would say, I saw a cow. Perfect timing, there's a cow on my screen. If I saw a cow, that's sufficient enough. That is a guarantee that I know it because I saw it. But then he goes on to say, but if my eyesight were bad, and the light were dim, this answer might not be sufficient. Even though I was right, it might still be said that I did not really know that the object was there. So another example that I was given in class was you are driving by Sheepville. On the highway, you're driving by Sheepville, and Sheepville is known to be the city with the highest amount of sheep in the entire world per square capita. Whatever that saying is. Per inch, I don't care. You're driving by, and you see something that is so eerily identical to a sheep, and you start saying, there's a sheep in that field. Unbeknownst to you, that was the world's most sheep-like sheepdog. It was white and fluffy, it had all the right features, but also unbeknownst to you, there was... Am I getting ahead of myself again? We're gonna start. I am one to really get ahead of myself, guys. I really am, and that's what's kind of fun about philosophy, is because you gotta get ahead of yourself, and you're thinking at 1 billion miles an hour, and right as I'm sitting here, I'm realizing And then, because I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. And then A.J. Ayer goes on to say that suppose that someone were consistently successful in predicting events of a certain kind, like the results of a lottery. If his run of successes were sufficiently impressive, we might very well come to the day that he knew which number would win, even though he did not reach this conclusion by any rational method, or indeed by any method at all. We might say that he knew it by intuition, but this would be to assert no more than he did know it, but we could not say how. How does our man who knows what the results of the lottery will be differ from one who only makes a series of lucky guesses? The answer is that, so far as the man himself is concerned, there need not be any difference. His procedure and his state of mind, when he is said to know what will happen, may be exactly the same as when it is said that he is only guessing. The difference is that to say that he knows is to concede him the right to be sure, while to say that he is only guessing is to withhold it. And he finishes by saying, I conclude then that the necessary and sufficient conditions for knowing that something is the case are first that what one is said to know to be true, secondly, that one be sure of it, so one believes it, and thirdly, that one should have the right to be sure. So he's kind of talking about that evidence factor of, with that one example about the lighting, the eyesight is bad and the light was dim. So you don't really have enough reason to back it up. You're kind of guessing. You're taking that estimated guess there. And that's essentially what Socrates was getting at with the tied down beliefs. Is that, something that you believe can be true and you can really believe it. But in those guessing examples, in guessing and having the right opinion, you don't know it. There's even though on surface value there's something very different about knowledge and guessing, the results are the same. So then we add in this aspect of, okay, well, in order to know something, you need to have evidence. It needs to be tied down. So then we have our three, premises, that the necessary and sufficient. And that's what we're talking about, how, you have necessary and sufficient conditions. So all of these are factors, and all of these guarantee that you know something. So we have, that what they're saying is true. They believe in what they're saying, and they have enough evidence to back up why they know it. So, you see something, you've touched it, you've smelt it, you felt it, you've seen it, the lighting's not bad, I know pretty much that there's a computer in front of me. I've been recording on it, I've been typing on it, that's enough evidence as far as epistemology at this point is concerned to say, there's a computer in front of you. Now, if you want to go, there's those rabbit holes that you go all the way down, where it goes back to Descartes, famous, I think, therefore I am, where it's like, well, actually the only thing that you know is that you exist. And then you really have to be, firm in those beliefs, because then you kind of walk down this slippery slope of like, okay, so you really are saying that you don't know that there's a computer in front of you. So all of this is great and grand, and everyone's happy, and everyone's, really having a party. Up until 1963, when King Gettier publishes this really, really short paper in The Analysis. It's a very, really famous philosophy journal. And I was told this story, and I was told this story because my professor was told this story, and he encouraged us to go tell the people this story. And now I'm telling you this story. Even though apparently it's not even really real, it's kind of funny. So Gettier was up for tenure, and the way that tenure professors, it's are you going to get tenure or not, is they kind of have to show what they've published, what they've done. And if you don't get tenure, then you kind of just get kicked out, and you essentially never teach ever again. Like, no college really wants you, because it's like, well, you had your chance, and you didn't even do anything with it. Like, why would we deal with you? He had published absolutely nothing. He was a phenomenal teacher, but he hadn't published anything. So one day, he just, he was thinking one weekend, when his review was coming up, and he just was like, I'll just kind of battle A.J. Ayer's definition of belief, or of knowledge, my apologies. And then he wrote this, and he published it, and it was a less than page paper in one of the world's most, renowned philosophy journals. And it went so insanely not viral, but whatever, it was the shot heard around the world when it came to epistemology. That they were like, oh, I have to kind of give you tenure now. So Gettier brings up this case. And then, from this, there's a lot of Gettier-style cases, which is what I've kind of alluded to earlier by mistake. But he provides this example, which goes, suppose that Smith and Jones have applied for a certain job. And suppose that Smith has strong evidence for the following proposition. Jones is the man who will get the job, and Jones has 10 coins in his pocket. That was proposition D. Smith's evidence for D might be that the president of the company assured him that Jones would in the end be selected, and that he, Smith, had counted the coins in Jones's pocket 10 minutes ago. So, he has enough evidence in his little hands to say, I'm not getting the damn job. Jones is getting the job. Because the president told me, the president of the company is like, you aren't getting the job. I'm sorry. Like, we kind of just, like, you're like we're trying to see it, if we like the interviewers, it's kind of just this little thing. Like, we're just having them interview a lot of people. We're trying to see, how their interview style is. Like, you're not getting the job. Jones is getting the job. He's getting the job. And then, maybe Jones is nervous in the waiting room and he takes out, or maybe he drops all the coins in his pocket and he empties them out to see, shit, did I have any more? And he counts them on the table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He does this like 20 times because he's nervous. And, Smith is kind of just sitting there rocking his chair back and forth being like, well, now I'm at this pointless interview. Might as well just look at what's in front of me and I'm going to start counting all the coins. So he sees now he has enough justified evidence to say that the man who will get the job, this is proposition E, the man who will get the job has 10 coins in his pocket. Let us suppose that Smith sees the entailment from D to E, so that Jones is the man who will get the job and Jones has 10 coins in his pocket, and that's going to logically mean and leads to his proposition that the man who will get the job has 10 coins in his pocket, and accepts that last claim about, the man who will get the job has 10 coins in his pocket on the grounds of D, for which he has strong evidence. In this case, Smith is clearly justified in believing that E is true. So essentially, he is believing that the man who will get the job has 10 coins in his pocket. He's believing that because he's seen the entailment from D to E, and he believes D because he has a lot of justified evidence. But imagine further that unknown to Smith, he himself, not Jones, will get the job. And also unknown to Smith, he himself has 10 coins in his pocket. And this broke everything a lot of people thought about philosophy in 2 pages. Proposition E is then true, though proposition D, from which Smith inferred E, is false. In our example, then, all of the following is true. E is true. Smith believes that E is true. And Smith is justified in believing that E is true. But it is equally clear that Smith does not know that E is true, for E is true in virtue of the number of coins in Smith's pocket, while Smith does not know how many coins are in Smith's pocket, and bases his belief on E on account of the coins in Jones's pocket, whom he falsely believes to be the man who will get the job. And this is such a simple thing, but it broke the justified true belief analysis of knowledge. Because up until this point, everybody's a strong word, a lot of people pretty much agreed that the sufficient and necessary conditions for saying that you know something was that it's true, you believe that it's true, and you have justification. And what is more justified than being told by the man who owns the company, not the president, whatever, the man who is literally deciding who he's going to hire, telling you that Jones is getting the job. And furthermore, watching a man count 10 coins in his pocket 30 times. He is so justified in believing the statement, the man who will get the job has 10 coins. And that's the thing that breaks it, because he is so justified in it. Yet he didn't know that he had 10 coins in his pocket. Maybe he had gotten a 90-cent hot dog from the little store outside, and he just completely forgot, and he had $1 in his pocket, and they gave him 10 cents back. And he has 10 coins in his pocket, 10 pennies, whatever. He doesn't know that, nor does he know that he is going to get the job. Yet, the proposition that is now true, or the proposition that he believed was true, the proposition which he has enough evidence to justify, is now also true, regardless of all of his justification, or regardless of, why his justification being wrong. In the JTB analysis, the justified true belief doesn't account for that. It doesn't account for your justification being wrong. It just says that if you're justified, then you're pretty much good. So then, from here, things kind of break down, and there's, different ways of, people are either trying to go the cool route and say, no, Gettier's wrong. And, trying to argue that they really weren't justified because, the justification of Jones is the man who'll get the job. He doesn't really know that. Like, he's been told it. And then also that Jones has 10 coins in his pocket. He might have an extra coin that he didn't see. There's a lot of attempts to kind of be like, well, he didn't really know that the man who will get the job, he wasn't justified in that. That was kind of just some lucky proposition that he put together in his head. That he was like, well, it was a jump in logic. That wasn't really as justified as Gettier wants us to believe. Then there's, the attempt to say, okay, so maybe we need to revisit the JTB analysis. Maybe we need to sit there and say, someone needs to be justified, but their justification also needs to be true. That's called the no false lemmas. So, everything before then, that's fine. We just need to add that their justification has to be true. And in this case, it would go along the Gettier cases, because then Smith doesn't know. Because his justification that Jones is the man who will get the job is wrong. It's a wrong justification, so it's clear that he doesn't know. And then there are some other cases saying, okay, so we need to get rid of the justified true belief. That's really what we need to get rid of. And let me see, I've got about 7 minutes left on this. Like I said, I don't know why I'm sitting here acting as if this isn't going to be more authentic, because I'm literally looking at my philosophy class slides right now as if, somehow that makes it, as if that's not, like, more authentic. The fact that I'm sitting here being like, I really don't know where I'm going with this point. I can't remember. So I'm going to go try to find it. Oh, my gosh. That man, he wrote it on all the whiteboards. I need to find it. Oh, okay. So, yeah, it's to say that you need to... Oh, yes, okay. So then you get, you want to get rid of that, the third claim. So we need a true belief, and we also need to believe that belief. So we need to replace the J. We need to replace the justified true belief. So then we get this counterexample. I'm going to just read it to you off my professor's slides. This was the sheep example I was trying to get at earlier. Smith knows that there are more sheep in Sheepville, Texas than anywhere else in the country. While driving through Sheepville, Smith sees a white, fluffy, sheep-shaped animal in a field. So she believes that there is a sheep in the field, because she sees one. She's justified. However, the animal is in fact an unusually fluffy English sheepdog. Fortunately, by sheer coincidence, there is also a sheep in the field right outside of her line of vision. So does she know that there's a sheep? And even in class, I was sitting there, I was like, okay, well, she's not justified enough. But that wasn't really, what caused it. or what's what's his face? What Alvin Goodman was trying to get at with a casual theory of knowing. The issue there is that it's not the justification, because in another example, where say that she does see the sheep, she is having the same exact justification that she had in both cases. She saw something and assumed that it was a sheep. In both cases, she's right. There was a sheep in the field, because in the second case, there's a sheep right outside of her line of vision. But in both cases, everything is the exact same. Like, all she went off was that it's Sheepville and there's more sheep here than anywhere else, and I just saw sheep. And I used my eyesight. In no case did she touch it differently or smell it or whatever. So then, you kind of come to the conclusion that the third requirement, that third necessary and sufficient condition, has to be that someone's belief of something is caused by the fact that makes that belief true. So her reasoning for why she saw a sheep in the field in both examples was that she saw one. That's not, seeing one is not enough reason to say that in the second case, the sheep was behind the boulder and somewhere in the field that you can see, and there's a sheep in that field. In both cases, there's a sheep. She's saying that she knows that there's a sheep in the field, but in the second case, she doesn't know that there's a sheep in the field because her eyesight isn't what caused there to be a sheep in the field true. An unknown factor to her caused that sheep to be in the field, so she doesn't know. So her reasoning has to be the cause of the truth of the claim, if that makes sense. I'm going to link we're running out of time, so I'm going to link some good examples. I'm going to link, obviously, all of these texts that I'm referring to, and I, again, highly encourage you to, go do your own research. I know this was a longer video, and I know a lot of it was rambling, and kind of the reason of that is, I'm still figuring this out as I go. I'm still, not even as I go, I'm just still figuring this out. I'm only a second-year philosophy student. These are the kind of things that it just takes time to, because, y'all heard during those, some of those spiels, I just stopped and I was silent because I was sitting there, I was like, that was really cringy, I'm so sorry. But it's a lot of, you're learning how to think about everything from every single angle, and that's great. But then also, it's like when you're trying to talk, you start thinking about everything from every single angle. So hopefully, maybe you listen to this while you're going to sleep. Maybe you were listening to it because you were bored. Maybe you're not listening to it. Once again, I'll never know. But, in the last minute, I really want to encourage y'all to, go check out other YouTube videos about philosophy. Some of them are really, really beautifully structured, and they are beautifully put together in a way that just, sums up a lot of the things that, I'm trying to explain here. I encourage you to go read these texts for yourself. Read them once, read them twice, read them 3 times. They are really, they are just incredible texts. They really are. I encourage you to sit with anything that you were sitting here and you were zoning out, and then something kind of caught your ear again. I highly encourage you just to sit with that thought. I don't know what next episode's going to be. It might be filmed, or it might be cameraed. It might not be cameraed, because I do use a lot of hand signals, or a lot of hand gestures, and it is sometimes easy to not have to do that, or not have to worry about that while I'm playing a video game, and just be able to kind of attempt to focus my mind in on philosophy. But if anyone's watching that and they're like, "You ugly? Like, what do you look like? What you hiding from?" Tell me, and I'll, go on camera. But yeah, I don't know what next week will be about. Kind of just going to be whatever I feel like talking about, or probably whatever we learn in class, because a lot of this is like me just honestly trying to relearn the things I learned in class and really try to cement them into my, to write them down so I can say that I know them. But yeah, I have 57 seconds that I'm trying to kill for. once again, thank you for watching. If you do want to subscribe, if you do want, to leave a comment, something you'd like me to talk about, something you'd like to share, any papers that you've read, anything like that, I would love it. I'd love to see that maybe at least just one person is getting something out of this, whether it's, a good laugh or, actual, not advice, but education, I suppose. If you're learning something from it, that makes me happy. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. And I'll just see you next video. It should be out in a week or two. I don't know. We'll see how this week goes. I got some papers coming up. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I see y'all in the next video.